Hi Scorpio, welcome to your end of February 2019 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. So, as you can see, I've laid out the cards. I tried to say what I wanted to say while I was laying out the cards, and that didn't work very well. So, what I want to say is that I'm coming from a place where I don't believe in fortune telling, okay? Even being an astrologer, I don't believe in predictions being the end-all be-all. That's not my number one interest in astrology. Anything that I do, whether it's astrology or the tarot, is done for the purpose of self-empowerment, of myself and others. And any time that it veers into convincing people that they are the victim of fate, that's not where I'm at. And so if you just want to hear what the cards say or what the transits are in astrology, that means that you are absolving yourself of any responsibility for making improvements in your life. We all have work to do. We all have things that we need to improve in our life. And that kind of thing is very difficult, I think, for some people to grasp. Because, and I get it, because I've certainly been there where my life felt uncertain and I was just looking for someone to just tell me that everything's going to be okay. And I think everything is okay, so I'm going to tell you that right now. There may be a lot of bumps in the road. I mean, like, you know, where I'm sitting, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know, just when I woke up today, just everything that's been going through my head and just what I've been feeling. And sometimes it does feel very overwhelming, especially now. And I think a lot of people are feeling that heightened sense of emotion. You're a water sign, so you feel it. You're like the canary in the coal mine, where you feel things before other people sometimes. And so we have to be gentle with ourselves and with each other. And it is difficult. Sometimes I know I am a fire sign. I'm a Sagittarian. I sometimes am too quick to, you know, take offense to something or to try to defend myself. And it's silly. I mean, I laugh at it because I realize, what am I defending? It doesn't really matter. But in that moment, it feels like it. So just remember that when I do these readings, it may not resonate for you 100%. It may not at all. Maybe I forgot to include something that you're about. You know, I had somebody the other day say, I don't have children. And you said you were talking about children because I got the Empress card, because it's a card of motherhood. Or I got, you know, several cards that indicated that, the Queen of Cups or something. And I have to go in the direction that I feel. If I feel too self-conscious, then I'm not going to do a good reading. So I'm saying that to say this. Just keep that in mind, that when you give your feedback, understand that you're asking the other person to change, basically. If you say something that I don't mind if somebody disagrees with something I said, like you take exception to something I said, but when it's trying to get me to change the way that I do things, oh, I do see red when I hear something like that. And it doesn't make any sense to do that. Just move on. There are plenty of people doing this. There are plenty of astrologers. You can find people that really resonate with how you want to get a reading. Okay. And I know somebody's going to put in the timestamp, okay, reading begins at 4:34. Which is a nice little snarky little dig. But anyway, the heart of the matter for the end of February for you, Scorpio, is the Page of Wands. This is a card of hearing good news. And this is a great time for you because the sun comes into a fellow water sign. So it's like that sense of, you know, both of your suns trining each other. And the sun itself is such a positive representation of energy that it should be a time when you feel more at home, if you will, in that watery element. And but it could be very emotional. But this is kind of more passionate. In some cases, it could be like a new relationship with a fire sign, or somebody who has a very fiery temperament, who maybe makes you feel young, makes you feel alive, and maybe it's news about a new job. The wands can be career matters, and whatever it is, it might put a smile on your face, and so that would be really great. In the past position, we have the Four of Cups. This is kind of like the opposite of that. Feeling a sense of disinterest in something. Maybe it was a job that just isn't doing it for you anymore. And so perhaps you did put in applications. And was able to have something come into your life that connects with like a new job, and so you feel like, oh gosh, everything feels a lot more hopeful. And but with the Four of Cups, it's more of a feeling of flatness. So it's just like, it might not even be that you were at a job that just you hated, but simply that didn't enthuse you, and this enthuses you. So that's the difference. And same thing with a relationship. And then we have here as the higher message, the Hermit card. So this is spiritual advice that is about looking within, and that guiding star inside of the lantern is really, you could say, your higher self that knows you better than your conscious self may know itself. And your conscious self, the self that is in this world, that is subject to all the influences of the world, that self can be quite, that self could be feeling very, discouraged, disappointed in somebody. Somebody let you down, and you realize, and maybe the Page of Wands is that realization that it was meant to be, that it was for the best. And I think of like when you're in a job and you're promised a promotion, for instance, and you don't get it, and you look at who gets the promotion, and you get very cynical, and you can get very jaded, and that could be the Four of Cups too, because you feel like you were taken for a ride, you were had. Somebody deliberately misled you, and they just they did it in order to maybe, I don't know. There could be different reasons. So it doesn't matter why they did it, really. It's just that they did it. And it can cause you to question yourself. And really, what the Hermit is talking about is about how you have your own path that is apart from other people's. And this is why monks, you could say the Hermit is like a monk. The Hermit or a monk goes off alone because they don't want to be influenced by others. When you're influenced by other people, what it means is that what they want, their view of life rubs off on you. And it's really, there's no point to that. Your life is your own. Nobody has the right to dictate to you how you live your life. If you are, self-supporting, if somebody else supports you, then unfortunately you're kind of under their control. But if you are living your own life, you have the right to live it as you choose, as long as you're not hurting others. And so the Hermit is understanding your kind of independence and your own trail, your own path that differs from your neighbors, your whatever. When I say neighbor, I'm talking about other people. Actually, I think Scorpios are not, they don't tend to be conformists. So that type of realization that the Hermit represents, it might just be one person in your life that you need to understand. Maybe there's one person whose opinion is very important and for you, and they disagree with a direction you're going in, and you need to just believe in yourself more, perhaps. But it could be like relationship issues in general, or work situations in general. What crosses you is the Queen of Swords, and this is something that happens when Scorpio feels like, I mean, like if you really feel like hurt by somebody, is that you tend to lash out, and you know exactly what to do, what to say. If your Mercury is in Scorpio as well, you know exactly what somebody's weakness is, and you can just hone in on it and just cut them to the quick. And you have to resist that temptation. So if you're like, the Hermit card too is about, you know, actually taking time out for yourself to contemplate your next move, I would say. So if there's something like where you're debating about whether or not to take a new job, but you know, maybe you've worked at another place for many years and you're not sure if you're going to be able to fit in at the new place. At least in the old place, it's the devil you know. The thing is that the Hermit card is asking you, what do you need as an individual? What is for your highest good? Not what is the safest necessarily, because you might be more concerned with the safest decision to make. Even though you know that staying in that environment could be very detrimental to you, you still might be too concerned with being safe. And so the bottom line is that with the Queen of Swords, it's like a vengeful tongue. You know, we can't take back what we say that are, you know, that is mean, that is hurtful. We can't take that back. And it's one of those things where, when they always say, like, when the Scorpio feels hurt, they sting. Okay, so that's the first. That's the first thing that they go to. They sting. They don't, you know, express vulnerability, like, oh, that really hurt my feelings that you didn't give me the promotion. I really felt like you thought that this person's a better worker than I am, and I felt like discarded, like I didn't even matter. A Scorpio person is not likely to say something like that. I can't say, you know, across the board, but most of you, I don't think, would say that. I think most of you would either, you know, maybe silently brood, and depending on other factors, and some people that have not really maybe done work on themselves. And by work, I don't mean necessarily even going to therapy or just contemplating your belly button for too long. I just mean that you actually sit with yourself in your feelings that are very raw and hard to even wrap your brain and heart around, and really just sit with those feelings. I mean, I know when I sit with feelings like that it feels like I'm being boiled alive. You know, it feels like I'm being consumed by something. It doesn't feel good. It feels very hard to do. But when you do it, you realize that you're not consumed by it, that you're not a part, that it doesn't have you in its grip, and you become immune to other people's opinions of you. And I'm saying this for myself. I'm not saying this as somebody who has totally, you know, recovered from this tendency to feel like that. I'm totally speaking on the few occasions when I actually did it the right way, and I was able to put some space in between myself and my reactions, and I it didn't have that power. It didn't have that sting anymore. But, you know, the scorpion will sting its enemy, okay, or its perceived enemy. And so the bottom line is that when you sting somebody else, it just perpetuates the negativity. It doesn't, you don't triumph over it, even if you can get in a good one-liner and that you shut them up. It doesn't mean that you have won. And it just, it's something to like watch out for, because with the Queen, you know, we think about the King of Swords. The King of Swords in the reversed position can be also very emotionally cold, and, you know, too analytical, too in their head. But when you have the Queen, she knows, she has intuition, so she senses where somebody's weak spot is and goes right for the jugular. You know what I mean? And that can be very destructive, even if you had righteous anger, but you don't want to get mean. You don't want to get vicious. You don't want to take it that far. What's coming in is represented by the Lover's card, a choice. Now again, you may be, like I said, you may be contemplating a choice. With the Hermit card, you may be like pondering over. This is a card of Gemini, by the way, if that has anything to do with your love life. But if with the Lover's card, it could be that you are wondering which, you might have some reservations about a new offer, because that's what the Page of Wands, maybe it's a new offer. But you may have reservations about it. It may have seemingly come out of nowhere. In March, we have a Mercury retrograde, but in February, there's even like a shadow period. I don't know when the shadow period begins, but it's sometime at the end of February. Maybe it's while I doubt it's while I'm speaking. It's probably after this, but yeah, and that could also indicate that something comes back to you, a former opportunity that somehow you were not able to take advantage of, and then you get another shot at it. But you may be a little bit suspicious. Why didn't they pick me the first time? And you may be kind of reluctant to give them a second shot. But it could be the best thing that you ever do. It depends, obviously, on the individual situation. But with Mercury retrograde, when you're signing those papers of your employment, understand that if it starts during a Mercury retrograde, there may be like a lot of leeway in terms of staying with that company, because signing things during Mercury retrograde may call later on for some changes, and that's okay. I mean, that might even be the best thing, because if you're not sure if you're going to fit in well in this current job, then that's for the best. The only problem is if you're giving up an old job that you've worked in for many years, and that may have like started to bore you, but it's reliable, and you know that the company is not going to fall apart next year or anything like that, you might still be kind of like, oh, I'm not sure. And the outcome is the Page of Pentacles, and this is the kind of message about receiving some kind of, again, maybe starting that new job, or getting the documents for that new position, hearing back from the employer and saying you got the job. Also, perhaps even getting a little money from something. That can also be the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles is also the card of being a student. So if this was something that was weighing on you, like you weren't sure whether you wanted to I said travel. I don't know why I said travel. I think I was looking at the mountains behind the Page of Wands. But if you were wanting to enroll in college, but you have a job right now, and you're like, I don't like my job, but it's paying some bills, And maybe there is some kind of reason why, you know, maybe you can't just go to college. You'd have to still work anyway, and it doesn't make sense to you to get another job, even a part-time job, when you know what you're doing here. The Page of Pentacles could be like maybe you get financial aid so you can stay, so that you don't have to work at that job. Maybe you get like, you know, the whole deal. But it could simply be that you get the money to be able to enroll in a course without needing financial aid. So the Page of Pentacles as receiving money is not necessarily like this large sum of money, but it could be just enough to pay for a semester of college. Who knows? I mean, you know, talking about amounts is relative. I'd love it if there was a tarot expert who kind of narrowed it down to dollars and cents of what is small, a small amount of money to get, and what is a larger amount of money. That would be interesting. Okay, Scorpio, that's what I have for you. So if you'd like a private private message, a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.